Why doesn't our console.log data work? Well, there's a very good reason for this, which is that the onReadyStateChange function only sets the data variable to contain the response text when the ready state equals 4 and the status equals 200. Our function has been called 5 times by the time that our data variable is set, whereas our console.log is only ever called once, and that will be right after we've run xhr.send. So this means that when we run console.log data, it doesn't have anything in there yet. Data is not set until after console.log has been called, which is why we're getting a response of undefined. Now, if I were to move my console.log data into line 10, just after where we set the variable, then it works fine. Let's just go and confirm that, refresh our page, and as we can see, we have our response text. The problem with this is it means that all of the work we need to do with data would have to be done inside the XHR onReadyStateChange function, which could make things really messy and complicated, because all of the code for our application could potentially end up inside this function. So how do we get the data out of here? Well, one thing that we could do is to create a separate function, and we can pass our data to that function. So I'm just going to delete my console log here, and then I'm going to create a new function which is called setData, and use my parentheses here and open a curly brace, and then I'll say that data is equal to, and we'll call it JSON data, so I need to actually pass that into the function. So JSON data with a capital D, and that's the name of the variable that I will pass in to the parentheses of the function here. Okay. So now then, what I just need to do is call my function setData, and I need to put JSON.parse, and then this .response text inside the brackets for JSON.parse. So I'll just put that in there. So this will be sending through a JSON parsed object into our setData function. Now if I console log my data, let's do that. Put a semicolon, save the file and refresh the page. And now we can see that we get our JSON object, which we can expand just as we did before. This is also called deserializing our JSON. But we have the same problem. If I move console log data to the bottom of the file, it goes back to being undefined again. So that means that everything for our function could now end up in the setData function. We've just moved the problem away by one step. JavaScript has a number of ways of dealing with this: timeouts and callbacks. In our next video, we'll have a look at how a timeout works.